Susanna and thank you for tuning in, and I've been dying to show you Susan Grace. Now for those of you who've watched some previous videos, you'd have seen the progress of Susan Grace. She was originally a blank doll which I purchased from eBay, and I didn't know anything about her. She came from Germany. We still don't know her maker, but through some previous videos I've painted her, varnished her, given her a wig, and in the video before this one I showed you how I made her outfit out of an old blouse that I used to wear. So this is the finished Susan. Now the reason I've called her Susan Grace is because for those of you who might have followed a few of my other videos, I'm very fond of old vintage children's storybooks, and Susan seems to be a name that pops up a lot in storybooks around the 1920s and 30s. And for example, Millie Molly Mandy has Little Friend Susan, and The Lord of the Rushy River, which I'm going to do a video on, that's another little girl called Susan. So it was a name that just came up and reflected my love for storybooks. And Grace, because Grace means thanks, and I'm thankful for Grace and for many things in life. So she told me she wanted to be called Susan Grace. So just to quickly recap, this is the outfit that I made from an old blouse. So do look back on some videos and you'll see that. And I tea stained, and she's got some little pantaloons and her little boots. These are from a lady called Ruth Dolls, and she makes lovely shoes for Sasha. And they happen to be just the right size. They're made out of leather. And then I got my mother to crochet a little pouch here, because my mother is a big knitter and crocheter, so I wanted a piece of her in the whole outfit. And she has a shawl. So I kind of got inspired by the look of the old Sasha Studio dolls. I wanted to have that sort of authentic look about her. And her wig came from eBay, but it was unused, brand new, from the 80s. And because we think Susan Grace was probably first manufactured around the late 80s or 90s, it just seemed very fitting to find a wig that was in keeping with that era. Now, the very last thing I want to mention about Susan Grace, although it won't be the last time you see her, I have recorded a history of what I know about her so far as a doll. Now, I feel quite passionate about this because these are the antique dolls of the future, and there are so many dolls around, so many dolls being manufactured. In 100 years' time, people aren't going to know who owned them or who made them unless we write it down and record it. And something like Susan Grace, she's an absolutely unique doll. Even today we don't know who made her, where she came from. And so starting to add to her history now, whoever is the manufacturer of her, in 100 years' time will gain that insight, and she'll just mean just that little bit more. And also, one of the reasons I love wooden dolls, I'm drawn to wooden dolls, is because they are unique and they're organic and they come from the earth and they will last, they will stand the test of time. I mean, I love all sorts of dolls, but you know, they're not plastic, they're not vinyl, they're not going to disintegrate and discolour. If anything, a wooden doll is going to improve over age. And I'm lucky enough that Susan Grace is a completely wooden doll. So again, look back on some previous videos. And so she really is going to be a future doll in the antique world. And so in this note, I've written things like who the previous owner was and details about the previous owner. Now obviously I won't disclose that, that's just for Susan and I to know, and the next owner. But I've mentioned that the previous owner found her in a flea market in Germany. Oh, that's a loud noise. She was a blank doll and lived with this previous owner for 20 years. And then in 2020, I, being in England, she came over to England and I became the new owner. and it was the year of the corona pandemic virus, so that's a little bit of history. And I've put where Susan is living now, and just the fact that Susan was blank when she came to me, and I was the person who gave her the face and the clothing. So whoever's the future owner, whenever that will be, will add to that history. So I've even left a blank page after this for them to fill out the next pieces of Susan Grace's history. And I think it's a lovely record, and I think it's something that we should all think about doing with our prized possessions now, especially if they're going to be possessions that last, because it adds to a history. We live in a very virtual age, and I often think, I don't know about you, but I think about all the photographs we take. But when we're gone, those photographs aren't necessarily going to be printed out and tangible like they used to be in the past. So they're all digitalized. So in the future, all the history of our life that we have through photographs, they might get lost if we don't write things down or print things out. Because of this virtual world, it's lovely when we're living in the moment of it, but what do we leave for people when we're gone unless we make them tangible? So I'm really going to try and be aware of that when I have purchases that I really think are going to stand the test of time. And you know, let's try and record some histories, especially of our dolls and toys, because they're so precious to us. So I hope this whole process has inspired you to find some really fond treasures, and particularly when you create pieces that come from you too. Like I created Susan out of a blank doll, so let me know if you too have found a blank doll, or you make dolls or toys or anything like that, and make them precious and write a little history about them. And I think they'll be appreciated in years to come. So thank you for seeing the process of Susan Grace, and I'm sure we'll be making up some stories for her. She's an old soul, she has a lot of wisdom to share. So thank you, and do like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on the various other current social media things, and we'll chat again. So bye bye. I'll just show you quickly what I've done so far. I managed to get 2 nice sleeves out of that piece I was showing you. So it looks a bit like a tea bag at the moment. Ooh, it's very drippy, but once it's had a good rinse, that's actually come out exactly just that I'd hoped.